What's going down today is a brand new patch. We have level caps, a new event, skippable scenes, and so much more to get into the news today for Borderlands 3. This is your boy MacGyver7th, Mac, and I'm going to go ahead and get you the news today for what we're going to be getting in today for all the events, all the changes, and some golden keys at the end. So stay tuned. Let's go ahead and get into it. First off the bat, before we jump into it, it's a very easy download. It's roughly about 338 megabytes, should be pretty sweet. A lot of their changes are going to be coming through the actual physical server. This is just them parking it so you can be able to get it really fast. Now by 3 o'clock, everyone should have this Pacific Standard Time. I got mine pretty early, and then it should be able to kick the event off on their server side when it syncs up for the Broken Hearts Day event. So if you get the download today in the patch and you haven't been able to access it, wait till 3 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, and Maury should be there. Just reset your console, let them just go ahead and do their thing, and you should be perfectly fine. One of the major events that it adds today is the Broken Hearts Day event, which lasts from today going all the way up to the 20th. I also do have another video including on top of that gives into a little bit more details with the golden keys directly on top of there. Now I'll release these golden keys that I gave on the other video too, so they will be repeats, but I do have 10 other ones that I want to give out today too as well. Looking at the top of where Maurice and where you can get up to that level cap of 53 now, the weapon terminal is going to be inside of the most sought out item. Get that sniper rifle for the wedding invitation, which is pretty cool. Let's go ahead and scroll down to the event toggles. The toggle is basically mainly going into a situation, if I can just scroll up a little bit more so you can just kind of see the full details on top of there. But basically what it's giving down to is that it's a highly sought after request that people want to be able to select it from the menu. So when you're in the main menu, you're allowed to basically toggle it off and on, and this is going to be for future events as well. Another request people had was skippable cutscenes. Now after this update, you should be very easily able to do it after the 1.09 install. Now with the level cap increasing to 53, it has been able to go a little bit farther, providing people with 3 extra levels and skill points for the end game of what they're looking forward to go inside of there. Future installments will definitely come as Borderlands matures. If you were a fan of the old school takedown mode, you're going to be very happy as they bring it back, and in future installments they're going to be able to have the enabling portion of having both toggled back and forth between that. They definitely are listening to a lot of the people or as far as what they're liking, but if you are a big fan of that true takedown and the takedown at the Malawan Black site, well, guess what? You got what you wanted. Now this one's pretty important. Don't freak out. If the Guardian rings disappear, it's going to be turned off by default. They're allowing people to do that want to enjoy more of a vanilla leveling experience, or just something in the Jane point where they just don't want to deal with a bad elemental perk where you can turn those directly off on top of there. So now you can definitely be able to roll around with that with the Guardian system where it's turned off. You're going to be able to kind of expand that with being able to toggle it again. It seems like a really good toggle update. One fun fact before moving on is that if you do not have the Guardian ring system turned on, you will not gain any ranks. For all you Stadia players, now you should have access to Moxie's heist in the Handsome Jack and his explosion at the Malawan Black site. So go ahead and be able to play that, now streaming anywhere around the world. This is where it's going to become a little bit more complicated because now we have the stability fixes, so let's go ahead and jump and see what they've changed so far. On top of multiple crash reports that they fix memory crashes, they address sometimes occurrence with the updating position in the dueling timer during the level transitions. They also took a look at the crashes that could sometimes occur in the player's characters with spectating in the takedown, with the black site being the target of where the issues are. The rare crashes that are basically listed down below that could take into the hijacking of a vehicle, the extension of the hour plays, the combat in the Athena's, the combat at HQ. On top of that, for as far as the Dreadnought and the multiplayer that sometimes could occur for as far as these rare crashes. A matchmaking bug was addressed inside the loading map for as far as the campaign. The address crashes and sometimes the occurrence of the elements reaching in their bodies of water. For as far as the reported freeze that could sometimes occur during the garbage bag collection, as well as the crash that sometimes using the Iron Bear. On top of that, the rare crash that could sometimes occur when respawning a vehicle, then using a car station before the vehicle spawned. Very rare, very messy. But if that's happened to you, drop a comment. I'd like to know. Now, looking on top of that, for as far as the report and the crashes that could sometimes occur when both left and right arrows while on the skill tab of the echoes on the PC, but that one directly is affected for them. Addressing the rare crashes that sometimes could occur when quitting the desktop after another user disconnected during the multiplayer PC events. Also, if you're a Stadia and hosting and you had some dropouts, that's been addressed as well, on top of the memory leak on the map transitions. Now let's go ahead and dive into performance. So they've done multiple performance optimizations on the game as well as the audio, address the issues for performance issues encountering when players are pushed by other vehicles, on top of the reports performance issues when fighting enemies at the Lumberton Junction in the Floodmore Basin. Now, looking at parts of the performance issues when scrolling through the Guardian rank menu on the icon. That's great that they fixed that, because a lot of that was toggling off and on, so they addressed a lot of that fun stuff. Now, general fixes. Now, with getting a little bit more shake and bake for the Guardian ranking, now you can select your favorite reward options with the less token applied to them. Addressing the reports and the concerns that sometimes the missions were not awarding their cosmetic items. Players should now have the following missions reward if they completed associated with inside of there the Nog mask for the far as the technical portion of that, the Atlas Classic skin. Then on top of that, the Rage Jacob skin. On top of the situation for as far as what goes on past that, you also have the signature style COV skin. And on the Drop It weapon Tinker, it's alive. So a lot of these things should be more accessible for you now. If you've ever gotten gear that's far below your reach and it's a higher ranking and you're a lower ranking, they've addressed that. On top of the concerns where the Spectrum mode would occasionally lose functionality when takedowns hosted in fast travel and different maps, that's also been addressed. They've also beefed up the second win system, where it occasionally the takedown missions after players have failed on their mission. More respawn issues were addressed in the checkpoint in the Murdan outskirts, addressing the concerns also with the players on the character select menu would be positioned incorrectly when players late joined in the multiplayer game for the Skywell 27. On top of that, the weapon Triggs Bloom was spawning projectiles in the wrong location. They increased the chances of the Tiggs Boom for the spawn projectiles, on top of the concerns that the Anointed Enforcer's shield would occasionally disappear and make the enemies appear vulnerable when they were not. The shield was still there. The concerns of the third-person healing effects and the occasional scaling enlarged the intent. Also, the concerns with the players were occasionally being teleported randomly during the cutscene when standing on top of specific spots of the map. On top of the concerns that were basically for the PlayStation 4 and the incorrect icon display for as far as the confirming portion on the Japanese systems. The concern switches into the items where you can occasionally remain in the presence portions of the screen. On top of that, for as far as the picking of the items should be a little bit easier, and the reported concern of the videos could sometimes appear corrupt on the Stadia. Now, reporting the concerns where the certain key inputs would not be accepted by Stadia, and on top of that, the joint status of the game of Stadia could be incorrect. There's a lot of Stadia fixes, but that's great for most people that are trying to play this. The report concerns in the incorrect key and the glyphs showing when returning to the main menu on Stadia, and then for as far as the previous fixes of the hotfix natively have been pushed over. Now, I do have some mission points that we're going to look into. The addressing perceived progression blocks after entering the Letra city from another map after completing the collector's batteries objective of kilovolt. So the progression block has now been lifted. For as far as the other progression blocks that occasionally occur when returning to the toppings to Tina, the object of Hammerlocked. On top of that, the blocks sometimes occurred after leaving and re-entering the map during the Check Dead drop in the object of going rogue. On top of the situations where the concerns where the dialogue can be repeated triggered if the player is loaded into another map while on objective take alternative path during the footsteps of the giants on that edging portion of what your issues were are now gone. Now looking past that, where you have the address for the perceived block where the loot bolt within the typhoon. Sorry, I'm yawning. So the footstep of the giants has been polished up a lot for as far as what they've been fixed inside the missions. Now addressing a report where the concerns where the players with the active missions could start sessions with no tracker missions if their previous tracked missions could not be tracked. So they're addressed a lot for as far as missions, which is nice today. Now let's go ahead and dive into the hotfix, which comes out today, addressing the reports and the concern of emergency response with the perk increasing the shield recharge delays rather than decreasing it. For as far as the addressing reports, the crowd audio was sometimes coming from separate locations while chasing down the carnivore. The added blockers to prevent players from occasionally escaping the map without dying when they jump off the edge of the cliff, the carnivore. Wow, they fixed a lot of that for as far as this seems to be going down there. The address issue also continues where they could walk through walls of the rocks on top of the blockers that have been put into place to prevent players from escaping the map near the transit station in the new U Neon. Now looking at for as far as the address reports and the concerns that the gunners could sometimes get stuck in the second area of the proving grounds. On top of the concern reports were the occasional escape, the skag of survival bosses, the areas in the proving grounds, yet again making the list. A report for as far as the sirens could escape the map while using some of the downfall abilities in the citerns of slaughters, as well as what they've been destroyed in the rifts. So looking at the address concerns for as far as the satellite dish that could not appear for the players to destroy in a certain distance during the bad reception. Now looking at for the last two that where they addressed the concerns where the players were unable to break into the iridium crystals that are clustered, as well as the concerns where the aim assist was snapping aggressively on the center enemies for as far as the situation in the Red Rain boss during the Slaughter Star 3000. Now personally myself, I don't use aim assist, I just use my skill, so I don't ever have that issue. Okay everyone, so we've cleared the update, we've cleared everything that's happened inside of the events, and now it's time for some golden keys. So if you missed the 3 that are during this event, which should be good up to the 20th, let me go ahead and throw those on screen, and this will be linked down below in the description. So go ahead and utilize that to go forward. Now the other 10 keys that I have are specific titles. For you classic players out there that want some Game of the Year action while you're basically doing some aftermath of this event for 4 days, and including right now you can get some 5 keys, basically console specific, so make sure you enter your PC, your Xbox, and your PlayStation code all differently inside of the redemptionable point. Now 5 more keys for the same game for the Game of the Year edition, so that's 3 keys for Borderlands 3 on top of 10 keys for the Game of the Year edition. All will be linked down below. If you're new to the network, you can always hit a like, share, and subscribe. It helps me as a creator, and it's absolutely free. And if you do today, who knows? Just maybe Maurice will come up with more events, and you'll just have to follow to find out. All subscription humor aside, thank you for your time, and I'll see you guys and gals in the near future for more Borderlands-related issues that are being fixed. Now, you can drop a definite hit of one of your favorite videos that the YouTube thinks that is best for you on top of a video that I picked as well. So everyone, I'll bid you adieu and see you guys and gals in the near future for more game news related and tech news related situations.